In the mission Foundation, after the room with all the Cylixes, devices created by the Forerunners, which are a type of stasis pod that preserves the life of the occupant from threats including the halo array firing. Under the room where you fight Tremonius, another Cylix can be found. But this Cylix is in a room entirely by itself, and seems to have a force field scanning and securing the Cylix. The front glyph appears to be a flood infection form. It is well documented in-game and books that the Forerunners kept flood specimens for research and further study. It is also well documented in Halo Primordium that Zeta Halo had multiple flood testing facilities on the ring, called by the ancient humans of the time the Palace of Pain. The end of the book Primordium, 343 Guilty Spark tells the UNSC scientists that there were 10 proto-grave mines on Zeta Halo that were put into stasis. Could this Cylix be a flood form, and could this be a sign of the flood's return on Zeta Halo? To the southeast of the spire, you can find an escape pod. Searching for survivors, you find no evidence of Marines, dead or alive, near the crash site. Traveling towards the mountain to the east, a warthog is discovered parked outside the mouth of a cave, again with no sign of any humans. Traveling into the cave, it becomes apparent this cave is slightly different than the others you have encountered on Zeta Halo. There are interesting looking plants along the floor and the walls that glow at night. As you continue down a long, narrow passageway, the cave suddenly opens up into a massive room full of Forerunner architecture. There are hints of gold in the gray of the Forerunner ruin, which is also a unique feature compared to other ruins found on Zeta Halo. There's also a platform in the center, but its function is unknown. Maybe there was a terminal at one point that controlled something in this ruin. As you travel up the stairs into a familiar looking door, you find evidence of Marines by the way of their equipment. Maybe the Marines fled into this ruin and the Banished pursued them. It quickly becomes clear that this structure has been damaged, and that you can hear sounds of creaking metal and rock, and hear water pouring into the ruin, slowly eroding it over the years. Perhaps Zeta Halo has repaired itself around this ruin, and this ruin is older than the ones we have found. Perhaps this Forerunner ruin holds some importance unknown. To the south of Outpost Tremonius and north of the Forward Operating Base Alpha, atop a mountain, a Forerunner platform of some sort can be seen. Traveling up the steep incline of the mountain, it becomes evident that this platform is different than the other ruins in Zeta Halo. I've yet to find a structure that looks like this one, and its function is unknown. Perhaps, at one time, it was some kind of observation platform that overlooks the spire in the distance. Perhaps it was a platform for landing aircraft. Behind the platform up the hill, there are several arches, almost like this was much more than the structure you see now. Perhaps it was damaged or buried over the long history on Zeta Halo. Zeta Halo has been nearly destroyed and repaired on several different occasions. So this could be the remains of some larger structure on Zeta Halo, perhaps a very important structure. Upon a very high peak along the edge of Zeta Halo, you can find a very unique and unknown ruin. It looks like the same design and architecture of the artifact rings found throughout Zeta Halo. But this ruin is different. Firstly, because it isn't a ring at all, but an arch. Secondly, because there is an inscription in the center on a stone tablet. The other noticeable feature with this ruin is it lines up perfectly with the silent auditorium in the distance. The silent auditorium is where the Zalanin, or the Endless, were sentenced by the Forerunners. Perhaps this monument is related to the Endless in some way. There were also ancient humans on Zeta Halo, documented in the book Primordium, a part of the librarian's protected population, that the primordial and mendicant bias exploited for flood infection experiments. Perhaps this ruin is an ancient human ruin. which would explain the difference from the other artifacts found on Zeta Halo. North of Outpost Tremonius, high up in the mountains, you can find a wrecked Banished Transport ship resting on the edge of the precipice. The evidence of what this ship was carrying can be found in the impact crater nearby. The artifact rings found throughout Zeta Halo were being transported off-site and studied by the Banished. But how it crashed is unknown, and what brought this ship down? Maybe the UNSC, or maybe the Sentinels that protect Zeta Halo. The weapon informs Master Chief during the campaign that Atriox was studying these artifacts and must have learned something about the Endless. With that knowledge, Atriox releases them at the end of the campaign. Another one of these transports can be found at a Banished dig site that has been researching the artifacts. Digital displays can be found in the middle of the dig site. Perhaps the Banished were recreating the ruins to digitally understand the full meaning. The Chief destroys the transport before the Banished can get the artifacts off-world. Why are the Banished so interested in these artifacts? And what did Atriox learn from these ruins? If you travel high enough on a mountain or an aircraft, you can see some interesting things in the distance. One of these things appears to be a huge spiked Forerunner ship ruin of some sort. The first thing that comes to mind is a Guardian from Halo 5. Cortana had control of the Guardians, and maybe she used a Guardian to crash into the Zeta Halo to stop the Banished. During the Forerunner and Flood War, many ships crashed on the surface of Zeta Halo. Could this ruin be a Guardian, or perhaps some ancient shipwreck of a time long past? As you travel in the open world of Zeta Halo, you can come across an entire brute squad dead in a river. Brutes don't die easily, and what killed them isn't really clear. There's a crashed ship to the north near a waterfall. It could be a Phantom or some other Banished ship. However, the brutes are spread out over the entire area. Perhaps they were shot down by the UNSC and a battle ensued. There are several Spartans in this area before the Master Chief landed on the ring. There are still UNSC yet to be accounted for. Regardless, someone or something proficient in killing had to have killed this brute squad. You can find many human escape pod crashes all over Zeta Halo. This one appears no different until you start to look for the Marine survivors. If you follow the green glow sticks of the UNSC, it will lead you to a crack in the wall. You cannot fit inside this crack, but perhaps the smaller Marines could without Mjolnir armor. There is some kind of structure atop this hill, almost like a pylon or a beacon. Traveling to the other side of the hill, you can find a cave. Inside the cave and through some very tight spaces, you find a buried Forerunner door and a room. The Marine equipment can be found spread out in the room, but no Marines. Atop the island where you kill the target Rithkul, the Jackal Commander, you can find some interesting things. Firstly, you can find a doll and the wreck hanging over the precipice. It looks like the Harbinger, or maybe this is what the Endless look like as an Easter egg. Traveling towards the mountain, you find a hidden cave. Within this cave, you can find another Forerunner door, with a Forerunner weapon stash inside. Another interesting and different looking building can be found on Zeta Halo. Traveling here for a Spartan Corps, you find many Banished infesting this ruin. There is a front door, but it's locked, so you travel around the back of the building near the edge of the damaged part of Zeta, and you find a cave. The Banished are all inside this structure. The Banished have used a door mechanism to pry open the back door. Inside the structure, the ceiling and walls look slightly different from other ruins you have seen. Maybe this is a beacon or a power station of some sort, to power another part of the ring. Another one of these towers can be found in the swamp where you kill the target's myriad hunters. However, this structure seems to have been buried under the earth and swamp.